Continuing on with our season previews, as today we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles. Not much of an intro needed, let's get right into the video. Last year, the Orioles were far and away the most improved team. They went from winning 52 games in 2021 all the way up to 83 last season. It was an improvement that I don't even think Oriole fans thought was possible, especially considering before last season's breakout they had 3 straight 100-loss seasons. And heading into this season, the optimism is still very high. This offseason, they've made some improvements to their team as they've picked up players like Kyle Gibson, Michael Givens, Adam Frazier, and Cole Irvin. And really the only loss from last year's roster is Jordan Lyles. Now offensively, as a team last year, the Orioles weren't too great as they had a .695 team OPS which ranked 20th, and they had 171 home runs which ranked 15th. Now when looking at this year's projected lineup, we have to start with their superstar catcher in Adley Rutschman, who last year hit .254 with 13 home runs and an .807 OPS. Rutschman is already a really good offensive catcher, and to top it off, he's one of, if not the best defensive catcher in the game. They also have the #1 prospect in baseball in Gunnar Henderson, who got a little bit of time in the big leagues as he hit .259 with 4 home runs and a .788 OPS. It was pretty impressive to see what Henderson did in the big leagues last year as a 21-year-old, and going into this season and many years ahead, I think he's only going to get better and better. Another big name in this offense is Cedric Mullins, who last year hit .258 with 16 home runs and 34 stolen bases. They also have Anthony Santander, who is a very underrated outfielder. Last year, he hit .240 with 33 home runs. Another underrated but good outfielder in this lineup is Austin Hayes, who last year hit .250 with 16 bombs. Another important piece to this offense is Ryan Mountcastle, who last year hit .250 with 22 home runs. As I mentioned earlier, they picked up Adam Frazier from the Mariners, who last year hit .238 with 3 home runs and 11 stolen bases. They also have Ramon Urias, who was a pretty productive middle infielder. Last year, he hit .248 with 16 home runs and a .719 OPS. And another player in this lineup who I think can have a big impact is Jorge Mateo. Last year, he hit .221 with 13 home runs and 35 stolen bases. And they also have plenty of top 100 prospects who can make an impact offensively this season in Colton Cowser, Jordan Westberg, Heston Kjerstad, and Joey Ortiz. So as I mentioned earlier, this offense was pretty average last year, and I think it's pretty safe to say they're going to be improved considering they have so much young talent that will be better this year. Now getting on to their pitching, it was pretty average last year as they had a 3.97 team ERA which ranked 17th. Now when looking at the starting rotation, I'm going to start with Cole Irvin, who they picked up from the Oakland A's. Last year in 181 innings, he posted a 3.98 ERA. They also have Kyle Gibson, who they picked up from the Phillies, who last year in 168 innings posted a 5.05 ERA. And we can't forget about Grayson Rodriguez, arguably the top pitching prospect in the game today. He's going to be in the starting rotation to start out the year, and while his innings will be limited, I think he's going to have a significant impact on this team. They have another pretty solid arm in Dean Kramer, who last year in 125 innings posted a 3.23 ERA. As for the 5th spot in the rotation, it's sort of up in the air, at least to start out the season, as it could go to players like Kyle Bradish, Spencer Watkins, Tyler Wells, or top prospect DL Hall. Now I say the 5th spot in the rotation is up in the air to start the season because they're going to be without John Means for a good chunk of the year. He's recovering from an elbow injury, and when last on the field, he was a really good pitcher. So for this starting rotation, yes, they have plenty of options, but I'm not too confident. I don't see a clear-cut ace as we head into 2023. Now getting onto their bullpen, it was one of the league's best last season as they had a 3.49 bullpen ERA which ranked 9th. When looking at this bullpen, we have to start with their closer in Felix Bautista, who last year had 15 saves, all while posting a 2.19 ERA. And when looking at the rest of this bullpen, they have 5 other relievers who posted a sub 3.5 ERA last year in Keegan Allen, Brian Baker, Michael Givens, Sionel Perez, and Dylan Tate. And if you know me, you know that I am big on bullpens. I think it is one of the most important aspects of a team, and I think it is the Orioles' strength. So now that we went through this roster top to bottom, let's take a look at the Orioles' outlook record-wise. When looking at the Orioles' record this year, we have to consider the fact that they're in a relatively competitive division in the AL East. They have a couple other teams that are going to be playoff caliber this year. Like I said earlier in the video, their offense I think will be good, not great, and their starting pitching, it does worry me a little bit, but I think their bullpen is going to be one of the league's best. So as currently constructed, I think the Orioles are an 80 to 85 win team. I know this may not be what Oriole fans want to hear after winning 83 games last year and surprising the whole baseball world, but I think they're going to be right around the same record as last season. Like I said, I'm just a little bit worried about this starting rotation. I think it's going to cost them a couple games here and there, and with how good the AL East is, I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. So yes, the Orioles have 100% arrived. They're going to be a very good baseball team for a very long time, but in 2023, I don't see them winning more than 85 games. Let me know what you guys think of the O's down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.